Hello fellow RPG makers and welcome to another video. In the previous video I have talked about window types, so in this video I will talk about something more interesting, in particular about drawing. Nevertheless, before we actually draw something, we will take a look at how it works. So let's launch the game, hit F8, and let's take a look at this window, which is a title command window. Manager._scene._command window. Let's hit enter and let's take a look at the info. As you can see that down here we have a lot of sprites that are bound to the window. For example, the window back sprite that holds data about the background, and of course we have some interesting attributes like back opacity. If we increase it, the maximum is 255. Back opacity equals 255. We can see that the opacity of the background is higher and the window is not so transparent. If we do it back to 0, the background is transparent and it looks rather funky. So let's get it back. Nevertheless, all the contents, the pictures and these texts are drawn inside the contents, which is a bitmap. Now a bitmap is nothing scary. Not really every, but a lot of objects in the game have it. For example, if I go to scene._spriteset, which is the visual part of a map. In particular, I'll go to children, 0, in other words the first child, children, shader tile map. Shader tile map holds 14 children, the Z layer, another Z layer, sprite destination, which is this rectangle that blinks, and a ton of sprite characters. Among them there is 1 for every event, 1 for the player, 3 for the followers, and 3 for the vehicles. Even if you don't see them, they are still there as children in case you decide to add them. Nevertheless, the bitmap is nothing more than a container for, if you take a look at the RPG core, it is nothing more than a container for canvas. Every bitmap has a canvas, and the problem with MV is everything that is drawn inside a window is blitted on the canvas, which then is transformed to a texture that is rendered by Pixie. It is relatively complex and also relatively inefficient, but if you want to redo that, you need to override the whole engine, so we need to work with what we have. So now that you know what a bitmap is, let's take a look back to the window. You know that the back layer and the contents layer are separated, which is a good thing because it allows us to customize the window a lot. For example, if I type in scene manager._scene, I go for the window. Now you have seen the back opacity, but of course every sprite or every object in MV pretty much has also a opacity, which is by default 255, in other words it's fully visible. However, if I turn it to 0, only the background will disappear, and not just the background this time, also the edge, but the contents will stay. So now we have a transparent window, but the contents are visible, which allows us to do a ton of things. So let's say I want to replace the default window background with, for example, an image. I'll jump into the code, and for that I'll use the custom command window because I don't want to disrupt any game windows. And since we already have something defined here, I'll copy it. So, window custom command dot prototype dot draw item equals function index, paste, and let's edit the sizes since the item rect.height doesn't need to be divided by 2, it's not large enough, and let's replace this with 144 because that's the width of an image. And of course we need to still draw the text, so window custom command dot prototype dot not custom command, window command dot prototype dot draw item dot call this index. Now of course we should not forget to refresh the window, otherwise it won't display properly. So let's take a look at the start. This custom command window dot refresh, save, launch, new game, and if we take a look, open the window and show the command window, as you can see we have 4 face sets. Now if I hide the background equals 0, and let's say I'll move the window so it doesn't look so weird, dot x equals 400. If these images were larger, it would be a proper background. So that was draw face. Of course there are some other methods we can use. For example, we have DrawText. Nevertheless, DrawText is a rather unfortunate function, because if we take a look at the RPG core, we can see it accepts text, XY, max width, line height and align, where max width is not the best parameter because DrawText does not accept any sorts of escape codes, or in fact it even won't accept a line break. So if you want to have a text that accepts line break, you need to use DrawTextEx. That, however, is not defined inside bitmap, it is defined inside Windows. And of course, if I take a look at DrawTextEx, it accepts only 3 parameters: text, x and y, and as you can see, it reads the text state depending on the index. It also reads the escape characters and converts them, and calculates the text height on its own, because of course for every line breaker you add, it will accept it and create a new line. And of course it resets font settings, just like if you reset color, because DrawTextEx accepts the escape tags. In fact, every escape tag you can find here, you can use. So let's close this. And let's draw some text X. However, I'll use the console. So if I display the window, not window, scene manager dot custom command, no, custom window dot draw text X. Let's say I want to draw this color. I'm a text. Now, since we are having a JavaScript thing, you need to draw 2 backslashes, not just 1, in order to convert the 2 backslashes into 1 backslash. Otherwise, it will just draw this as a text. Let's say 25, 25. And it draws a colorful text, as you can see. If I draw another one, this time with a line break, and another color, 5, let's close it and open it again to refresh it, with a line break. You can delete this space, as you can see, one line, another line. If we don't specify the line break, of course, we can see what happens rather easily. Let's open the menu once again, enter, and as you can see, if we don't have these line breaks, the text won't go on the next line on its own. So that was the difference between DrawText and DrawTextEx. Now I have shown the draw character, etc. in the previous videos, and there's not too much new. So let's take a look at some funky stuff you can do with a window. For example, as you can see that the text is not drawn beyond the padding. It will not go through to the edge. So if you want to have a window that is rather large, you have to increase its size. So let's say I will use for this our command window once again. I want to have it invisible. So let's say opacity will go to 0. This dot opacity equals 0, and X and Y will be redefined. Oh, not X and Y, width and height. Window custom command dot prototype dot window width equals function return graphics box width, because everything regarding the size is defined inside window command. Here you have window width, and window height is also defined. So let's redefine the window height too. Let's get back to script. Window custom command dot prototype dot window height equals function return graphics dot box height. So now if I save it, oh, I will delete the height because we won't need it anymore. Let's save it. It will do some weird stuff that you can know for sure, because we haven't redone the draw cycle. So let's hit P. As you can see, now we have a window that's through the entire screen, and of course, since windows unfortunately are on the same layer, that means the previous window has disappeared because it is underneath this window, and there are canvases involved, so everything goes around canvas splitting. So let's move back. And let's actually do some more fun stuff. We can close this. For example, have you ever wondered how to move the comments around? Let's take a look inside the drawItem function once again. And as you can see, you have here the this.itemRect. If we take a look at the itemRect where it is defined, it returns a static thing, but that doesn't really bother us because we can redefine it to our heart's content, and we will. So let's copy it, let's paste it, window custom command dot prototype dot itemRect equals function index, and now let's say if index equals 0, rect x equals 0, rect y equals 0, rect width equals 240, rect height equals 40, else if index equals 1, rect x equals 20, rect y equals 200, rect width equals 240, rect height equals 40, else if index equals 2, rect x equals 0, rect y equals 400, rect width equals graphics box width, in other words the full screen, rect height equals 80, else rect x equals 400, rect y equals 500, rect width equals 300, rect height equals graphics.box height minus this dot y, not this dot y, rect.y. Rect.y, let's save it. Let's delete this. And let's take a look what it does. It crashed because cannot set property x of undefined. Menu plugin 190, that is this line. Oh, I see. Let's make it an object instead. Exit, launch. And as you can see, if I activate the window, scene manager underscore scene custom command window dot activate. If I scroll, it is different. So I think that would be it for this video. And if you have some questions, feel free to leave them in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.